welcome back. If you just joined us, it's just NEWSHUB, and we're shifting gears. We're looking at a very serious conversation. We're looking at the conversation around the Electoral Act amendment with greater focus on the direct primary clause. Yes, we discussed this yesterday. We are asking who it is for, and we are hoping, that most of our callers did hope, that the president will assent to this. We've had conversations back and for and against direct primaries, but today we have the spokesperson for the House of Representatives. We have Carlo Benjamin in our Abuja studios too. I'm going to throw some more light into this conversation this morning. So good to have you join us on the show, Benjamin Carlo. Okay, I didn't hear you, but I saw you move. I don't know if you could respond. Good morning.
Morning. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic, fantastic. Yes, this is an ongoing conversation, and I don't think it's gonna lie low anymore. It's an ongoing conversation that we must continue talking about. Tell us exactly where we are in this whole direct primaries clause in the Amendment Act. Yes, it's been approved and passed by the House. It's waiting for the assent of Mr. President. What about this direct primaries clause? What about the need by the House of Representatives to begin to look at maybe direct or indirect? What about this need?
Thank you very much. The purpose of having the legislative arm is to use legislative interventions to cater for needs that have been created by gaps in our democratic system, in our governance, as allowed by the mandate of the Constitution. Just like you have the executives solve some of our needs by executing the laws that we make in the House, one of which is appropriation. You see them carry out social infrastructures and all the rest of them. One of the ways that the judiciary handles the ills in the society is through the courts, by ensuring that we have justice and equity on issues presented to them. For us, we use motions and resolutions as well as legislation as allowed by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And those legislations, they don't just fly out from our brains without considering whether or not they form part of the needs assessment in our society. Our laws that we make, they are the products of so much conversations, so much discussions, needs assessment from the public to know what the pulse of the public is. And as the People's Parliament, we always listen to the needs of the society. As you know, our electoral system has not been as it ought to be because we strive to become an advanced democracy in the world. There are basic steps that we are bound to take in order to increase democratic quotients in our political processes. And those are the things we started seeking. What can we do to increase these democratic quotients in the way we do things? What can we do to be able to foster development of the political parties to the extent where a lot of accountability and transparency will be enshrined in the activities of the political party, where parties will be compelled to maintain, for example, an updated members register that is verifiable and also accessible, not only to a handful of individuals, but to the generality of the members of the political party, as well as the aspirants. We are looking at how do we increase the probability of having more youths and women participate in our democratic activities, because, as you know, there are many of you out there who have a lot to offer to this government, but because of the fear of godfathers, and you are not big money bags, you prefer to sit on the fence. But this is opening up the space so that those who have been on the fence will be able to jump into the arena, to be able to contribute their quota. As you know, the Not Too Young to Run bill has not been given the will that it is needed, that it needs to be able to achieve the outcomes that it set out to achieve. And this is one of the ways to give, wheels to the Not Too Young to Run bill, because as you know, young people all over Nigeria have actually made their marks in sports. They have made their marks in entertainment. They've made their mark even within the business space with the startup companies that they are bringing up here and there.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Benjamin Kalu. Great point you make here. But I also want you to understand that in the last couple of days, for the 2 weeks of Labour, we've been having this discussion on direct and indirect primaries, and it's been interesting to see the different viewpoints coming up. Let me ask you this question. There are people who say the high turnover of House of Rep members with every election cycle is representative of what the people think the lawmakers who have been kicked out of office for not doing their job well, compared to what others think that it is because of the overbearing influence of the governors on the electoral system that gets them kicked out. Are you saying that this law, Electoral Act Amendment Bill, with the clause on direct primary as the only means of choosing candidates, is a personal fight rather than what is for the collective good of Nigerians? What's your thought on this one?
I am sure that even you who is asking the question, you already know the answers to that question, because you know laws are not made for a particular set of people. Good laws are made for the whole federation. The law we are making affects a councillor in your village. It affects the local government chairman, up to the House of Assembly, the governor, up to the president. So it is a bit unclear perspective to stand from there to judge the activities of the legislature, who has the mandate to make law for the Federal Republic, that the law they are making is self-serving. Yes, are they going to be one of the beneficiaries, just like other people in the executive and other people in the legislature, from councillorship in the local government to House of Assembly? The answer is yes. And why not? If it is a good law, it's supposed to benefit the institution of democracy. And when you talk about the institution of democracy, you're talking about those who are the fulcrum of the democracy. The legislative arm is the fulcrum of democracy, and that is the truth. So if you strengthen a situation where there will be no institutional memory loss, there will be a way that, we copy what the advanced democratic climes are doing, like America, where you have somebody in the parliament for a long number of years. The president of America spent 50 years. He joined the parliament when he was in his 20s, and he's in his 70s now. He's the president of the country. And look at the laws that come out from the United States. You see they are one of the best laws around the world in any democratic climate. Why? It's a product of experience. It's a product of continuous work in that particular aspect. When you bring in members of the parliament today and tomorrow you remove them and you bring new people, that reflects on the amount of rejections that when you send bills to president, he said the I's were not dotted, the T's were not crossed, you miss this, you miss that, and then it comes back. Who suffers at the end? The people of Nigeria. So are they going to benefit? Yes, but is that the core purpose of this? No, it's not. The issue is that we want to open up, decentralize the selection process of candidates. We want to break the hegemony that has captured the nomination of candidates in various parties. And good governance that we are talking about in this Federal Republic, that everybody has complained about, starts with the selection of the candidate of the parties. No other way. That is the root. If you get it wrong at that level, if you don't have a legal framework that will help Nigerians get the right people, right pegs for the right hole, we've missed it. So because they'll end up bringing a selection of people whom they like the pancake on their face, not because they have the capacity, the right energy, they are fit for purpose. So who suffers? Nigeria. And we go back, you and I go back to complaining. So this is our way of contributing, to the legacy of strengthening our legislative, our democratic institution in this country by making sure that it is open up. People will now be selected based on what the people want, not because of what a certain group of leaders desired. And so the definition of democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people. So the people element appeared in that definition 3 times, and government is only once, which means people number 1, people number 2, people number 3. But these people have been sent out of the center stage, and a few controls what the people are supposed to control. And this piece of legislation, Clause 87, which we have passed as a bill, is bringing the people back to the center stage. Anybody who is against this is against the people. So this law is for the people and not for the House of Representatives or for the Senate.
Benjamin Carlo, what you just talked about now for me sounds like an indictment. Are you suggesting, are you questioning the credibility of the members in the House at the moment? Because most of them didn't come in through direct rule, well, some did come in through indirect rule. Are you questioning the credibility of the members you have in the House right now?
So I am questioning not the credibility of the members in the House. It has also to do with the credibility of the members in the House. We are looking at our system. We are not talking about individuals here. The law is addressing the system, the democratic system. Is indirect rule perfect? And yet, I've heard you complain once or twice, even on your program. So the same thing goes for every other aspect of the democracy. It is not perfect. We are trying to see what can we do to make it better. And direct primaries that returns power as defined by democracy to the people is the right way to go. Anything short of that will be playing to the gallery. Let's face the facts. People need the power. We are giving the people what they want. I expected the people to celebrate this bold step of the legislature and no longer call them rubber stamp, like they have always called them the rubber stamp. Now we are taking our firm position and saying power belongs to the people. Give it back to them. We are standing by the people. So you should celebrate the legislative arm.
So Benjamin, how much consultation was done before this was passed with the people? How much consultation with the people? Did the members of the House visit their constituencies? Did they get the approval of their constituencies on this focus?
The whole 9 years of making a piece of legislation is enshrined in the rules of our House and also the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And all those 9 years, we are all cross. And it includes public hearing. In public hearing, you have the integration of stakeholders. And in our stakeholders administration list, we had places reserved for the civil society organization, political parties, and other agencies of government and non-governmental agencies. They were given the fair hearing to, ventilate on what they think about this particular clause. And I can assure you, the report of the public hearing is to the effect that this is what the people want. We cannot do what individuals want against what the people want. So the consultation was done. And remember, in the House, you have 360 members. And when we do consideration of report as presented to us, and there is a majority vote on it, it means that the 360 federal constituencies have assented to that position before we consider that report. So like I said, the whole 9 years, even when there was a dissenting opinion, on clause 52 in our own presentation and clause 53 with that of the Senate, the chamber, what did we do? And as well as clause 87, what we did was to form a conference committee. A conference committee is for the purposes of harmonizing, the areas of divergent opinion. And luckily enough, they are as quick as possible. And I celebrate the Senate, the President of the Senate, and all the distinguished senators for agreeing to the fact that the position adumbrated by the House of Representatives in these two clauses represent what the people wanted. And because of that, it was easy to harmonize. And when the report was presented, it was adopted by the Senate and also was adopted by the House of Representatives. What else is left in the 9 years of getting the law made, if not transmitting it to Mr. President in the next 7 days? And the 7 days is almost due because the clerk of the National Assembly got it as quickly as possible.
We're keeping our fingers crossed on this one. It's interesting watching also too when the report was first presented how Femi Gbajabiamila, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, single-handedly asked that that clause be amended. I said it was interesting watching when the proceedings of the report was first submitted. I think Gbajabiamila, the Speaker of the House, interestingly was the first one to raise objections with that clause. And of course they say, I can't hear you, please. I can't hear you. Can you hear me, Benjamin Kalu? Benjamin Kalu, can you hear me? Well, it looks like we're having connection issues with Benjamin Kalu. All right, we'll see briefly if we can connect with Benjamin Kalu, who is the spokesperson for the House of Representatives. His time is almost up, but these are big questions we're asking, and we hope that he can provide answers, especially to the part of the bill that has... All right, Benjamin Kalu, I understand you can hear us clearly now. Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Brilliant. Now, I was saying that it's interesting to have watched the report when it was first submitted to the House of Representatives, when the Speaker of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, raised objections on that particular clause. They say the rest is history, so moving forward, the INEC, as a responsible electoral agency, is always very important in the way it carries out its processes. It's saying, we are going to do X, Y, and Z to make things happen. So they will try out the process, and then the process is replicated in the election, and it's done very well. The direct primary that you harp about and make so much boast and confidence that it is better than the indirect primary, your party has had the opportunity to have primaries which have been very controversial in the eyes of everyone. You've had primaries where the candidates who emerged at the state could not replicate those numbers at the national level. The just concluded Anambra governorship election, your party's candidate was not able to match up with those numbers, even by a quarter. Are you embarrassed that you are going for a process, even though it's been tested, has often failed to win credibility in the eyes of the majority of Nigerians you seem to think should be applauding you for a decision you've taken?
I am a product of direct primaries. So there is no reference that you will make that is more credible than my experiential knowledge. I'm a beneficiary of direct primaries. And if not because of direct primaries, probably I will not be here as a spokesperson of the House of Representatives. The people needs this power. We are talking about direct primary in its true essence, not a situation where somebody said there was direct primary when there was not. What the law is laying is a legal framework that will guide the parties, formulate their own structure in a way that it will deliver the expectation of the intent of the direct primaries. I almost lost my primaries, but when the National Party office asked for videos and pictures of those who queued behind me in all the wards, the federal wards of my federal constituency, they saw it. Every other defense failed. I am talking from experiential knowledge. Every defense, every manipulation, every calculation, and I did not know this big person or the other from the national office. It was based on what was seen as a piece of evidence. So I am proud of direct primaries, and I want other people to benefit from direct primaries. It opened the space to allow people who have capacity to come and play roles in government. And I'm sure there are many of them out there. And this is opening the window for the next generation to emerge. If we don't do this, they will still be held bound by those who have refused to leave the space, so that we can test the quality of people like you who are today addressing us through the television, and who is also, or who might be able to address us from a government platform. There are many of us who are out there who want a space. This law is giving that space to them. So when you talk about our number election and all the rest of them, that is a myopic way of looking at it. I want us to look at it, in its own integrity, and what it seeks to achieve for the nation. It will achieve an advancement of our democratic ethos. It will expand the horizon of participatory democracy. We say it in words, but in actions we don't have it. We want participatory democracy, and it is only when power goes back to the people that they can participate. When you draw the comparison between primary election and general election, you're making a mistake. Between a primary election and general election, a lot of things can happen. It does not mean that if somebody elected you in your party during primaries, and between that primaries and the general election, something happened, that he will vote for you. I have seen political parties like PDP vote for me. I've seen ABGA who voted for me. But those ABGA people voted for their candidate during their primaries. But during the election, through my manifesto, they changed position and they voted for me. So will you now go and say that the integrity of the primaries that they had was wrong?
The universal subject. We were talking about disparity running to several hundreds of thousands. In Lagos State, we're talking millions. You mean you tell me that over 500,000 people move from one party to another party overnight?
It is possible.
It's possible, okay.
Quite possible. If you have been a politician, it's quite possible.
All right.
Between the time of primaries, election, and general election, anything can happen. I've given you an example on my own. I'm from Ben, the federal constituency. Go and ask question. It wasn't only PDP, only APC that voted for me. It's a PDP state. They had their candidate, they had ABGA, they had SDP, but those people voted for their candidate during the primaries. But the general election, I had a stronger manifesto. I had a stronger message. They believed more in me, and they shifted and voted for me on that particular position. But they voted for other candidates. So are you going to say that the integrity of the primaries that they had for their candidate was faulty? No, it wasn't. The same thing is applicable in APC. If the APC candidate had a primary and he had 1 million people voting for him during the primary, and between the time he ran his election and the election itself, something happened, and those people shifted base, you cannot question the integrity of the primaries.
Welcome to the world of voodoo politics and magic, I'm sure. But we don't leave it at that. Benjamin Kalu, who is a spokesperson for the National Assembly, House of Representatives, thank you very much. And we look forward to touching bases with you now and again in important matters of national discussion, especially with the House of Representatives.
No problem. I'm always here. I'm just a phone call away. We are here to make sure we bridge the gap between the people and the parliament. And the more we engage, the more we raise this conversation, the healthier the understanding of the workings of the National Assembly, and it will breed confidence, in the people trusting what we are doing. Because lack of information has fueled a lot of misunderstanding and misconception.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll go a quick break. We come back and talk about alternative dispute resolution, which is a big talking point, especially in the world of judiciary. Please stay with us on NEWSHUB.